Hey everyone, Eric Stein here. I'm back. It's Thursday at 3:30. It's time for the actor Talkback, and I am so excited to be talking to Vincent Rodriguez III today. He's Josh Chan, the crazy ex-girlfriend. I'm going to see if we can get Vince into the video here, and then I'm going to get everything started. So here we go. All right. I see the kid. I see Kurt Haker. I see. There he is, folks. All right. Here we go. Folks, I'm looks like we're just about ready to connect with Vincent Rodriguez. There he is.
Yo,
Yeah, there he is. This is great.
guys,
Vince.
guys, I'm here. I'm sweaty, very warm.
Oh no, you're
There's,
frozen right now too. No, now you're back. Now you're back.
all right, all right.
So
What's up?
you're here. You're sweaty. Was it a workout or just running from one place to the next?
All right.
Was it a workout or just running from one location to the next location?
It was location,
Yeah,
workouts. Oh, I see some familiar friends who are joining the call. Hi,
yeah.
familiar friends and non-familiar friends. Welcome. Yeah, I was running from the dentist.
Oh my gosh, Vincent,
So that's,
let me now that we've got you here, I wait
yeah.
to do the formal intro
Okay.
until we actually have you on the live call here. So um,
Okay.
I can't. All right, so here we go, folks. Eric Stein here, casting director for PCPA. It
Yeah.
is Thursday. It is 3:30, which means it's time for Actor Talkback. I've got my interviewing shirt on. I've
Oh,
got
snap! You're ready.
my raspberry lime spindrift.
It's
And
on, guys. Get out their liquids.
can I even begin to express how
Hmm.
excited I am to be spending the next hour with Vincent Rodriguez III? I,
What are you
I,
talking about?
can, so we can start by just talking about, I mean, there's so many things Vince has done, and we're going to get to hear about so many of them. Probably right now, you're best known as Josh Chan from
Yeah.
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which was just kind of a groundbreaking show. When you look at things like Zoe's
Yeah.
Extraordinary Playlist and
Hmm.
so many things that, I mean, all of that's spinning because you guys were so successful. I mean, it's really cool. And then I know you've been working on Insatiable. There are so many things. If I started to try to make a list, I would forget something. So we're going to have Vince help us out. But I can tell you, Vince has done amazing regional theater. Vince has been on several national tours. Vince has been in workshops of new musicals. Vince is on cast albums that you can listen to. Vince has
Yeah.
worked at all in so many prestigious companies in New York, like the Public Theater, and well, worked for Paper Mill Playhouse.
Roundabout. Yeah.
I know I'm missing things, Vince, but we
Yeah, voiceover, but that's okay,
oh,
Eric.
and that voiceover's new. That's why I'm excited to hear more about too. I heard rumor of voiceover, but I'm excited to
Well,
hear more about it. So let me tell you, he is
yeah.
also an alumni of PCPA's two-year actor training program. If you ever were to pick up a brochure about PCPA's program, you better believe I've got Vince's name and picture all over that. We are so proud of you, Vince. So thrilled to even have a little bit of claim. We just like to claim you as our own. We are so honored and
Claim,
grateful. Thank you so much for
claim,
talking to us, Vincent.
claim away.
How are you? How have you been doing in this, crazy time of having to shelter in place?
I've been well. Well, all things considered, um, I feel like I've hit a new threshold in terms of my awareness of the world and of me and how I relate to it. I was already on that journey of journaling. That's the easiest thing to, for those PCPA students out there. PCPA is big on journaling. I was very resistant to it. And now I do it every day, almost every day. I use Mel Robbins' 5-second journal. Strongly recommend it. I have a spare in my little cubby, and I've given it away as gifts. And some people I mentor, they have them as because I've referred them to it. But yeah, it's been nuts, and dare I say, it's been not so unprecedented. I've been playing with different ways to frame what's happening to us, and just like, what if it was for us? Like, where's the good, you know? And so, well, in 10 weeks, I have cut my hair twice. It's my second attempt. I learned a lot after the first mess, and I reinstalled. I demoed my guest room closet. I installed a two-tier closet, and in the middle tier is where, right in the middle is where, right behind that curtain, where my voiceover booth sits, and I record next Friday for a special project I'm working on that no, I cannot talk about.
There are going to be many times that I'm going to ask you stuff, and we 100% understand and support you when you say I can't talk about that, because Vincent's probably got NDAs coming out of every cubbyhole in his
They're real.
in his house right now. So
NDAs are real, y'all.
non-disclosure agreements is what non-disclosure agreements. So
you are not allowed to talk about this list of things. Good luck,
Vince. So many things I want to talk with you about, and really, folks out there, I want you to ask questions as well. So please, if you have questions for Vince, put them in the little question mark down at the bottom.
And my buddies, hey Tim.
If you put them in this thing that scrolls by, I might miss it. So
Right.
Put your questions in a little question mark down at the bottom so Vince and I can look at them. I also want to let you all know, for folks who've been joining us for this series of actor talkbacks, this is the last one we'll be doing on Instagram Live. We're going to be moving to a new platform because, honestly, we want to be able to record these and archive them for the future so that we can use them and learn from them and have our students learn from them as well. So we're not exactly sure what platform we're moving to next, but please, if you've been enjoying these and you'd like to continue to tune in and listen to the chats, please keep an eye on PCPA's social media, and we'll be getting information out to you all soon. Vince, let's go back all the way to the beginning. Can you tell me, what is your earliest theatrical memory? Something you saw, something you were in. What's your very first memory of being in a theater?
I know exactly what it is. I saw Phantom of the Opera National Tour at the Curran Theater when I was a kid in San Francisco, California. It was my very first professional musical that I'd ever seen in my life. I wasn't a huge fan of some of the music. My ear wasn't quite as developed at that age, and I like, even though it was pop and very ear grabby. Yeah, I had other favorites. I listened to Your Good Man Charlie Brown a lot. I listened to Parade. For those theater nerds out there, those are on the 24th. You theater nerds are like, Vincent, how dare you? Those were 2 years apart. But I just had this ear for the musicals that were new and what I was seeing on screen and on my TV, which I would record VHS. So one of your questions, Eric, I had Eric send me the questions because I wanted time to chew on them. Well, because questions now are my gold. Yeah. Questions are gold, man. For actors, oh man, I meet directors who'll just come up to me after a scene and I'm in my zone and they just whisper in my ear a question. And they go, "You get me?" And I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
and,
my
and
dream.
And we're rolling, and then I go, and it's like, oh, cool.
I had an amazing director who, is later in his career, and I was in awe. I watched him direct Cyrano de Bergerac only through asking questions. He never told anybody to do anything. He just asked questions.
I mean, because there's a lot you gain by doing that, I've learned. It's because once you give someone an answer to a question, depending on their personality or what they're trying to attain or what goal they're trying to achieve, they might take that answer and lock it, and you can't move it. And when that happens, they lose. Sure, they win. I got this locked down. Bam, got it. But now you're not flexible. Now you're not like water. Bruce Lee, what? I'm going to throw a lot of analogies out there, guys. I have a lot of various disciplines. I have 2 black belts. My first was in Shotokan. My second was Taekwondo. I became a professional dancer 3 years out of high school. months after graduating PCPA. I graduated May, booked first national tour 42nd Street in August. I toured for 9 months. They sent everyone home. I said, can I just go back to New York with everyone else, even though I'm a San Francisco hire or an LA hire? I auditioned in LA when they were here. He said, sure, go to New York. We don't care. So I did. I had no home, had no money, didn't know how to save. 22 years old, living off of couches, sleeping in beds, huge California king beds with 5 dogs, hair everywhere, like 50-pound duffel bag. That might be exaggerated, but my Dell laptop at the time, this is 2004, guys. That's a heavy laptop. That's not a MacBook. Now add tap shoes. Now add character. Now add jazz. Now add jazz slippers. Now add sneakers. Now add poetry bag. Now, like, I lived out of this bag. You know, if we were on a Zoom call, which I was on earlier with Bridge Broadway, my friend Eric Lieberman, who's a Hunchback, I was staring at all the faces, and just every once in a while, I'd say something, everyone would go. Like, they'd all nod at the same time. And I'm like, we're connected. Yeah. We're in the same arena. We get it. So yeah, it's it's a little crazy. I feel a little scatterbrained, to be honest. That's where I really am. I'm so excited now about life and about creating opportunity and like getting ready and doing stuff that it almost feels like, where is the day? Like, time is dilating.
I hear you. You know, and the thing, Vince, you know, I had the fortune to be working with you when you got that 42nd Street tour. I remember us working on Crazy for You and you coming back from those auditions and one of the things that I remember even from when you were, you know, young, having just graduated from PCPA, is you have an unbelievable amount of passion that you are not interested in hiding. You will share your passion at all times, and I find it incredibly appealing, and the enthusiasm. You know, I think we're looking obviously for potential when we are out looking for actors to be involved in projects, but we're also looking for passion. That person who, maybe rehearsals, maybe your call is over at 3, but rehearsal goes to 5, but you don't go home at 3. You stay and watch because there's so much to be learned by just being in the room. And being in the room, you might get to be involved in more that they weren't initially planning. I mean, I remember you talking about Hunchback when you were working on the workshop of Hunchback, and they didn't plan on magic in Hunchback. That's because Vince happened to be there and was like, I can do magic. And all of a sudden,
I pitched it.
Yeah, you pitched it.
And it got picked up, and I was magic consultant for the original run at La Jolla Playhouse when we created the show.
I just think a lot of times people feel like it's that they need to hide their passion, and I don't understand that. I don't understand the desire to hide your passion. I think that that if we're not willing to share our passion, if we're not willing to be passionate about what we're doing, then how can we ask the audience to be passionate about what we're doing?
Well, I'll answer your question, even though I think it was rhetorical.
No, I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, I have a lot of answers, and let me just say this to the people who are watching. My answers don't necessarily all come from me. They are inspired. They are the result of me being inspired by another speaker, teacher, person who is letting their spirit free by being in line with what their purpose is and their own passion. So I have thought leaders that I listen to every morning on YouTube. I have various playlists. I have mind tools, morning motivation. See here. There's vulnerability, so I'm listening to a lot of Brené Brown, which actually leads me to my answer. The answer to your question, based on my new learnings the last year from Brené Brown, not even a year, like 6 months. Like I didn't discover her till as of late, which was a perfect timing for me, because I used to be of the mindset, like, I want all the information in my brain now, and I don't want to sell it, and I want to work now. That leaves out a very big, important piece, and that's your journey. Your journey to getting that gig or getting that job or 3 years from now getting that job you don't even know you're going to have. It doesn't start when you get it. It starts when you dream of the possibility of it. And when you dream of the possibility of what your future is, you have there. Some of you are getting a little like, what? Wait, what? Future possibility? What? So what I'm trying to say is, when you get so clear on what the possibility for your future is, what jobs you might have, what artists and creatives you'll work with, you're going to start realizing, like, man, if I want to work with, they did this and this and this, they sounded great. I want to sound great because I want to play in their arena. So I gotta learn, I gotta know what they know. And then you start just singing up song. Oh, that's a great song. That's a great Hadestown audition song. Oh, but it'd be great for once. Oh, but it would be great for this other musical. Oh, and I found this pop song. Okay, now I'm listening to pop song. And like, I'm just making this up. It's been a month. You now have a list of pop songs to sing for musical, for specific, which I could not figure out when I was younger. Because my mindset was, like I said before, I was trying to lock it down. I want the answers, tell me which song to sing it, how to gesture, show me what to do. It was such a, I wasn't letting my own creativity flow. I didn't have trust in my ability to storytell or to understand what function my part fits. Like what's the point of my role in order for the story to be told. If any of you guys saw Insatiable, because I'm reading some of the questions here, that's like the first thing I talked to my showrunner about when I was hired. I only knew so much about my part, and as soon as I got her phone number in my phone, and it was my second trip back to Atlanta, so not even the first day, I didn't really get a chance to chat with her or ask her these questions yet. I chatted with her, but it was about getting to know each other, because we're working together. We're colleagues now. And I just wanted to get to know her. Like, I just wanted to vibe with her and what excites her and what made her write this show. Like, I wanted to know about my part. But for me, based on what I've learned from PCPA and the process, the theater process, your first day of rehearsal, you're not doing full dance numbers and, off book, and you could be off book. I don't necessarily suggest that, because there's a journey that you begin first day. It feels wonderful, and it's with that group of people you're in that room with. And it's not just actors. It's all your creatives, your dramaturg. Troxel, you're with me forever. That's my Shakespeare teacher, guys. One of PCPA's like golden stars, Patricia Troxel, who was one of the teachers that I remember having a bad day, and I said, I just don't feel like an actor. Like, I can't do Shakespeare. Like, I'm a musical theater actor. She went, stop. Sit down. Like, we stopped working. Sit down. Or Vince. I didn't go by Vinny then. People called me Vinny for a long time. I just now go by it because everyone wanted to call me that. So don't act surprised when a lot of people act surprised, like, Vinny. I'm like, you guys were calling me that before. Don't act like I'm trying to be something I'm not. But she was like, Vince, you're not a musician. You're an actor, and you're an actor first. And she like really looked at me. Like, do you understand that? Like, we're not going to move on until you understand that. And she did it in such a way, like a motherly, nurturing way, but she's also like a badass, holds me accountable. She's also a genius, and she has like a stack of lexicons, and I'm like, Shakespeare. And you know what? That took me so far. That really gave me a boost. The things that I've done, you guys, the things that I've done with what I learned from PCP, I literally booked jobs by using tools I learned from PCPA. IPA, I transcribed Mandarin and Cantonese for the Thoroughly Modern Millie National Tour audition. They were switching out casts during that big contract debacle with Equity. And they were switching from the production contract to the Pink contract, which we now know as short engagement touring agreement, SETA, SETA. Well, I was there. It wasn't that. Before then, SETA, it was just this. And, oh gosh, I forgot what I was saying.
But you were
So that's
using
kind of what
IPA. You were using IPA.
yeah, I was using IPA. I remember being Ingley Greer. I remember holding. I distinctly remember like the paper, Eric. It was just IPA and International Phonetic Alphabet, which I learned from Kathleen Mulligan, Jack Greenman, and Ryan Jensen. And I remember the cue cards. And I remember, here, pick one of the monologues out of your book, transcribe it. English, just standard American. Transcribe it for Cockney. Now transcribe for this dialect. Now transcribe. And now all you're doing is substituting vowels. But then mind you, when I auditioned for Thoroughly Modern Millie, they didn't have any transcriptions. They had an audio tape, not even a CD. And it was bad. It was bad audio of someone saying the dialogue, of course, speaking or singing the dialogue. The songs in Thoroughly Modern Millie that the Chinese characters sing, they sing in Mandarin, and they speak in Cantonese. So I had to learn the difference. And I remember being in front of Dick Scanlon, holding my sides. They weren't sides. They were notepad paper. And it was my IPA that I had written out. And it was like all the sounds. So I knew. And then I made little lines going up and down, like notes. Like I made a quarter note, or I made I used musical training. And then I do a dash or a U, and that was stressed, and that is stressed. Or I put an arrow forward, and then I'd lift at the end because I want that to lift. So I used every tool in the book so that I can do my scene work and go, I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just literally going off of what I remember. And I've gotten many notes since then from some of my friends. So if any of you speak these languages, I am so sorry. But the point is that when I was in school, I learned all these cool tools. And I studied them so closely because I knew there was so much I didn't know. And my journey, like that you are kind of highlighting right now, Eric, is that I kind of instinctually knew early on, if I want to be on Broadway or be in movies, TV, film, what have you, if I want to be on cast recordings, if I want to be on PBS, great performances, come on, that's a big deal because that's what I grew up with. Like if I want to be there, I want to have something to offer. And it would be great. I learned this years later. It would be great. What I have to offer is genuine, all me, and not me imitating what I think is success or what I think is perfect or what I think I should sound like.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That took a long time.
Yeah.
It took a long time.
Nobody does you better than you, man. And the minute we can realize that, it really gives us a lot of freedom. Can I ask you, Vince? We've got some incoming first-year students on watching the video right now.
Yeah. Hey guys, what's up?
And I would love to know, what would you say to first-year Vince right now? If you could go back in time and talk to Vince in August of 2001, what would you say to first-year Vince? What advice would you give him?
This is going to be, you'd think this would be easy because I've chatted with two of my friends who were in my graduating class this morning.
Oh, yeah.
You think all that would be fresh in my mind. Brian Season says hi.
Hey, Brian.
I think Brian's watching. So let's see here. What would I say for first year thing? I'd say before I answer your question, Eric, I have to first say to people watching, every morning when I wake up, before I get out of bed, I have a mantra and affirmations that I say to myself. Some of them, a lot of it is speaking I, grateful for, I am these things, all that. The last thing I do, at the end of my routine, before I even leave my room, make my bed, start my day, I go to the mirror. Walk up, put my heart. Right. Dear Evan Hansen, just stole it. Today's gonna be a great day, and here's why. But in all seriousness, the point I'm getting at, I build this relationship with myself, my present self, in that moment. Well, one morning, I looked at myself I feel the impulse to thank past. So I switched gears in my brain. I said, Vinny from the past, thank you so much. Because of you, I have achieved beyond what I thought I could. Because of the seeds you planted, I am now present Vinny, flourishing in those areas because of the hard work and investment you put into the work. So I want this to be a lesson for present Vinny, as we acknowledge past Vinny, that we can make the choice now, in this moment, to let our actions be defined by a vision that we have of our future. And a few visionary possibilities I have of my future self are, I am doing my first feature film, starring my first action feature. I am starring my first network television show, number one on the college. I am reoccurring on the top shows on digital platforms and network TV. I am in cartoons, animation worldwide on digital platforms and network. I travel to do meet and greets for the various shows and animated series that I'm and sci-fi things that I'm a part of. I know that's a big part of what happens when you get cast in those roles, and that's a big responsibility. So as I was doing this and envisioning all this future, I didn't live there. I just saw it, and that made me go, "Whoa, that's epic," and that's intense. And instead of being afraid of it, I went, some of that stuff doesn't have to happen tomorrow. It probably won't. A lot of that won't happen tomorrow. However, you can let those visions, those images, and the feeling you have of those visions and images dictate what you do right now. You gonna pick up that muffin? No. I'm gonna go eat some sardines and tuna. Oh, am I gonna have a Red Bull? No, I'm gonna have half a cup of black coffee I'm gonna add some water and some almond. It's like, oh, I have to do a voiceover read. Am I gonna go on my phone and just do this for an hour and I slouch and no. I'm going to drink tea and I'm going to do my vocal warm-up by Tom Burke, and I'm going to read over my script, and I'm going to write questions about the character and just write down little notes about things I see in his paradigm, in his reality, because that's my job. So the long and the short of it is, I use imagination work that we do in acting. I use it for my life, and then I use mental technology, call it heart set, mindset, whatever you want. I use these tools to get my head to understand I'm living presently in this moment, and I feel good about the efforts that I'm making because I know that every day I'm letting my present moment be defined by that vision of my future. That's how I stay on track. And so I know a lot of actors. Been chatting with some of my friends because I mentor. I'm a mentor. I love leading. Oh my gosh, Tommy Schaffler and Brandon Weiss are on the call.
I
These are
know.
PCP alums. Yeah.
So,
Thank you,
shout
Tommy.
out to Sweeney Todd, 2002.
Sweeney Todd. Oh, I had to understudy you in that.
Well,
First line in the show, Eric.
I think
just big.
You were ready. You rocked.
I was 6 roles. I was ready. But yeah, so that's that's the long and the short of like where my mindset is at when it comes to trying to figure out what my next move is.
Yeah.
Or when I feel like lost in terms of direction. And working with some of my friends who are still kind of in the infancy of their own journey, like they're in the beginning of building their careers, hearing them talk about what's my type and can I get a monologue to work on, and where's a good place to look for under fives, and then like I don't know my type, and casting blah blah blah, and I just like my head exploded and I went, oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated right now. And I said this to him on a Marco Polo, and I said, it's not with you. You just helped me realize that I have a frustration with the way we think as actors, and I'm going to tell you what it is. It's a frustration I have about myself. You're worried about all these other things. that have nothing to do with acting. What is acting? Playing pretend, reading script. Do you need me to pick you a script to read to be an actor? Reading script doesn't make you an actor. What you do with that script makes you an actor. And the work that you put behind it. You know, do you know your lines? That's like the last thing. Like I've adopted a new acting technique where lines are last. I don't start with lines anymore.
Yeah.
I don't start with lines because they
Vincent,
change.
well, yeah, I mean, totally, especially with where you're working right now. Yeah, exactly. And especially with some of the early work that you're doing when you're in workshops and you're obviously in film and
Yeah.
television. What I want to know is, just listening to you, it's always so inspiring, Vince, because you are so passionate and so disciplined. So you've got a blend of passion and discipline that is enviable. What I would love to know is what do you do for fun? I mean, what do you do? And I know the work is fun, don't get me wrong, but what do you do? What do you guys do when you're just like, you know what? I want to relax. I want to go do something that has nothing to do with my career. What do you do?
Unfortunately, Eric, the answer to your question is might not be one what you expect. Um, there are some things that I enjoy doing that aren't career related. But for the most part, the life that I am designing for myself, possibility that I've created for myself, is a is a is living a life where I am fulfilled by the work that I do. I get to work with like-minded individuals who live inspired lives, give me space, creative space, and energy space to be myself, creative self, and who are just like-minded in the exchange, inspiring one another and making an impact on the project we're working on or in the world. Um, those are the things that I've been focusing on lately, and that's why it's kind of hard to answer your question. It also reminds me of an answer I've heard, which I'm gonna kind of use as half my answer, which is, you know, I genuinely, yeah, you're right, Eric. I genuinely love what I do. I love what you do. It's not work, and there's a lot of people who think that's a bunch of phooey. But for those of you who do, let me remind you that there have been times in your life where you lost track of time, acting, singing, chatting with a friend, um, hanging out with friends, doing an activity. You just lost track of time. Time just either slowed down or sped up, but you just lost track of it. Your concept of time comes from the front part of your brain. Now I'm talking about science, yo. Like this is a part of the studying, like what I study. So when that goes dark, like when that part of your brain goes dark and you don't know what time is, you're Stephen Kotler, author of the book The Rise of Superman, which I highly recommend, talks about how you are plunged into the deep now and you hit a state of flow. And a state of flow is where time dilates, your ego goes away, and you're just in the zone of what you're doing. Some of you might recall flow being mentioned in terms of action adventure sports, which is where it was kind of discovered. Like people doing these death-defying, surfing these high waves and climbing the highest mountains and not dying, running a mile in less than 4 minutes, which until like the 1970s, we thought you couldn't. And then someone did. And then 3 months later, a high schooler broke the record. So it was 4 minutes, 3:59, one of my favorite numbers, but it symbolizes. And then this high schooler broke it 3 months later, which basically means your mind is creating barriers for you. You get to reprogram those barriers. You get to choose. Do I believe what I was taught by the world and my family and my environment when I was growing up? Or do I choose to believe something else? Do I choose differently in order to support my goals and dreams and aspirations so that I may make an impact on the world and take care of myself and my family?
I
So
love that.
that took a long time for me to kind of understand about me. I was trying to understand why. So what, Eric? You know what I mean? Like, so
Hmm.
what? So you wore that shirt and that shirt. So what? Like, so what? You sing pretty. So what? But what's inside? Where does it come from? Why do you do it? Why
Yeah.
is it so important? Um, that's where part of the passion comes from.
Have you always, and I, this just occurred to me, Vincent, so forgive me for not forming the question well, but have you always embraced being a Filipino, young Filipino man who's going to be an actor? Like or did you ever try to push that away and pretend not to be Filipino? Like has so I guess what I'm asking is did you always see the fact that you were a young Filipino man as an asset, or did you ever think it was going to be a hindrance?
Oh, I thought it was a hindrance for the longest time. That's how I treated it, guys. That was a hindrance until I realized, like, until I learned how people cast. Once I started to study the other side of the table, the creative end, the casting end, the executive producer end. Sorry, executive producer end. That's more TV. Producer end,
Mm-hmm.
the choreographer, director. Uh, that's when I realized, like, they have their own prerequisite, their own system. And I used to think, like, I need to be good enough to get past it. And then I realized, wait, that's not the goal. You're not trying to get past it. You could do that. What's the ultimate goal? To, to be on that stage in that role telling that story, or being hired and for a role that you want to play and be telling the story. That's the goal. To do the work for that goal. Before you get there, oh, gotta meet this casting director. And just show me work, which we all freak out about. And Eric, the last year, I spent not working on a network television show after Insatiable had wrapped. Um, sorry, I got
I
distracted
saw
by my
it.
buddy Mike.
I saw it too.
Mike, Mike, chill out. It's right here. And we can work out together anytime, buddy. That's my buddy Mike. He's in Atlanta right now. Speaking of Atlanta, he's my gym buddy, so I had to say hi. And okay, now I lost track of thought. I'm just
Well,
excited, man.
you were saying that that you hadn't worked on a Netflix show since, I mean, a network show since Insatiable wrapped.
Yeah, it's been a year of, like, what's gonna happen next, and I just been using that time to develop and audition, and I remember in the beginning I thought I was gunning for a specific role on a show because I was getting some, audition. My submissions were being accepted. Um, it was like, this is amazing. I've never been up for roles like this. I can't talk about it. Like no one is allowed to know. And it wasn't just one, and another, and then another, and they didn't lead to booking the job. And there was a moment or two where I don't know, it's all is it all wrong? But that thought didn't last very long because I also started to embrace the ideas that everything is always working out for me. Oh,
Isn't
I'm
it?
taken care of and provided for.
Well,
Like,
isn't
it's
it?
just shifting how you frame it.
I love that. I mean, isn't it fascinating how, and I encountered this. I know I went through this, and still I'm sure have moments of this in my career. But that odd desire we have to be what everybody else is, or to try to fit in with what's popular, when I can just tell you from, sitting behind the table now for 10 years, we are not interested in a whole bunch of people coming in and being the same. We are looking for individuals. We're looking for authentic individuals who are going to walk in the room and be unique. um, the desire to be what's popular, or to say, oh, that what that person's doing got them a job, so I'm going to do that. I hope I can help people discover that is not true sooner than I figured it out. That, and so, like you're
Yeah,
saying, you tried to push away and pretend, and tried to be what you thought they wanted to see, as opposed to coming in and showing them what you wanted to show them.
Well, that's the thing that I've learned is that I had a shift in mindset uh, somewhere where even though I had been told by a big casting director in New York, I paid for this class. This is years, this is like a decade ago. They said, Vincent, excuse me, I feel like every time I see you, you're
Trying to please me. That's what you said, right? Yeah, your mic broke just a little bit.
yeah,
Every time, so that
I feel like every time you see me, you're trying to please me. And I'm looking at him like, yeah, I am. Why is it working? And I didn't say that. I just sat there dumbfounded. I remember feeling poor because I paid so much to be in that room. And I worked the cash. This is in New York. I worked the cash job. I worked as a personal assistant. I cleaned apartments, scrubbed toilets. I was a bar back. I was a bartender. I built IKEA furniture. I would move people's apartments from Midtown Manhattan to New Jersey and rent big U-Haul trucks, even though I'd never done that before. Like I was doing whatever I could, do what I love. And yeah, when he said that, it really broke me. But it also it just really shook me. And I remember the last thing he said was, I feel like you're trying to please me. Don't do that. Just do the work. Just do the work. Now that phrase I knew. So the next time I auditioned, it was for Pop. Oh yeah, it was for Mary Poppins on Broadway. I went in for a singer call, open equity singer call. I sang, and I remember going into the room. It's a song I'd sung before, and I remember I saw the window, and I went, and I total David Craig word. The music started. I nodded at him, and I looked at the window, and as the music played, all of a sudden I was in the movie of my life, and I was just letting the music and that window, just imagining, and letting the lyric, like it kind of just, it was almost like I wasn't trying to get somewhere or show you anything. I was trying to live in this experience, have an experience that happened to be in front of people who are watching. And there's music playing, and that's going to fuel what I'm feeling and all that kind of stuff. Well, I finished the song, and I heard a thank you from the music director. I looked over at the casting director. I just saw it. I had a callback on the Broadway stage of Mary Poppins, me and the other guys. And when I listened to them sing, I'm skipping ahead, they were not as prepared as me, if we're being really honest. And I know one of them. And I remember hearing his singing audition. And it was in that moment that I realized, Eric, like, oh my God, we're all human. We all have error. We all have nerves and deal with them differently. Think it. I'm like, but I was there. Like you don't care. That's how he's saying that. Didn't. And I realized this is changing my reality. What reality am I living in? And I went, oh, it's not. And then to your point, it's not about like, oh, it's perfect, or it's like, who are you? What do you offer? Can you help us? Can you play this dance track? Awesome. Well, we need an understudy for this particular part. Can you read for this? And then if you're right for the part and you know how to play these parts, then your read is going to go very well, especially if it's in tune with who you are as a person, which has happened to me. And that's how I've been the understudy. I was understudying all throughout my time at PCA, which helped me a lot because that got me Beverly Modern Millie National Tour, which I turned down because I took White Christmas. Now I'm on the cast recording of White Christmas. I'm on the Broadway poster of that White Christmas. I was not allowed to audition for the Broadway company for whatever reason. Don't know the answer why to this day. But yeah, it's show business, not show play, guys. It just works in ways that don't always make sense. And some things have nothing to do with you. Like So if things don't have to do with you and you had a great audition, then you need to be yourself. Eric Lieberman, who I did a class with Richard Broadway this morning, we had a chat yesterday, and he said, it's interesting when I hear my students say that they fear that they'll suck or that their work is good or that they'll be judged. So what if you do suck? Okay, what if you suck at acting? Let's just pretend. If this is true, then what else? UCB improv rule for you. This is true. What else? Well, if I'm a shitty actor, I don't know. I'm not going to stop acting. Exactly. Like even if you were a bad actor, you're not going to stop acting. Love acting. And so he was talking about how you have to like give yourself permission to fail. If you are a shitty performer, I'm a shitty performer. Then anything I do will, like when I do try, it'll be even better. But like, so what? Even if you were really good, I don't care who's on this call, how good your voice, I don't care. There's always someone better. There's celebrities who don't use proper singing technique. I'm in voice lessons. I have to relearn how to sing. I lost 30 pounds 3 years ago, and a few months ago, I was given an opportunity to star in a brain, and I did not do well at my singing, even though I have a decade of musical theater experience, and it partially was because I was singing the same way I had sung when I was 30 pounds heavier. Mm. I was using this effort level of 10. And I worked with this new voice teacher, and I was able to create the same sound, but at an effort level of like 5 or 6. Mm-hmm. Drop your jaw, smile, mask, lift. And now I have all this space that you can't even see it. But it's like how, it's like how voiceover artists do all that, do all those cool, like ventriloquists do it and stuff like that. So like we're all in process. Man, and if you're brave enough, if you have the courage to be vulnerable and say, I'm not perfect, I'm not ready for that. You think you're always going to feel ready? You're not always going to feel ready. That's why I think it's really cool when I see people go up and sing karaoke who are uncomfortable, but they're singing anyway. Or people who audition and they let it go. Like they're raw, they're just very real and raw. Some of them are so afraid of what they're doing, they're shaking. And then there's another performance that's a young performer, and they're singing and they sing perfectly. And they're standing in this position and they're wearing khaki pants and a polo, and you know what I'm talking about, Eric? Hi, I am Vincent Rodriguez III, and I'll be singing All But the Stairway to Paradise by the Gershwin Brothers.
Yeah, I call it poised is poisonous. So Vince, I got to ask, we just had something go by on the screen that says you're so incredibly handsome. Do you think they're talking about you or me? I just thought I better put it. I think. Oh shoot, they put a V. Did they have to really be specific? I mean, come on.
It could be an E. It could be an E. They rhyme.
Yeah,
they rhyme.
They could.
They rhyme.
I for a second I thought maybe could it have been me? No, it's not me. But
you're a tall, handsome drink of water.
Well, I just turned 50 on Wednesday. What are you going to do?
No one's going to believe that. Don't tell them that.
Vince, I got to ask. We've got maybe 10 minutes left because Instagram shuts us down at an hour whether we want to or not.
Oh, right.
I don't want to. I could talk to you all day long, but I have a couple just kind of fanboy questions that I got to ask as far as just like what's it like to be, on a TV show and be a big deal and have have people taking your picture and all that stuff. I mean, once you kind of you're on a television show that's getting nominated for Golden Globes and all of this stuff
and Emmys. We won 2
Emmys. I remember you guys won the Golden Globe in your first year. And then followed up with Emmys after that.
2 Emmys.
Yeah.
In choreography and editing. Oh, yeah. 4 total Emmys, and the first nominations and wins that the CW had ever had.
Yeah, it was groundbreaking. We've been talking how you can't say it any other way. And but what has met your expectations about life in the spotlight, and what has surprised you about life in the spotlight? I mean, maybe it's just better to jump
What
right to
has
what surprised you.
what?
What
Yeah,
is what has surprised you about having a life in the spotlight?
I can combine those two things. What's what what I expected was, the red carpet and the car services and the being walked and escorted to things,
Mm-hmm.
people having the tone in their voice when they talk to you. Um, Thankfully, uh, I was I've done a lot of research thanks to Simon Sinek, Sinek, and he talks about how that treatment is not for you; it is for the position that you hold. You deserve a styrofoam cup like everyone else. However, your position gets a ceramic mug, gets a cushy seat, because your position has a certain value to them. They want to make sure you are taken care of so you can do the thing that you're going to do. So that being said, I enjoyed that treatment, but I also felt the anxiety to perform, to be to be seen, and to deal with, you know, sometimes the people who are interviewing don't know the show you're on. They're not kind, they're not considerate. Or just the other day, I don't know why I even bothered watching this. I was on YouTube and I was watching like snappy comeback celebrity here, and I thought it would be more funny. It was a little disheartening because of the kinds of questions that these actors were getting. Though what was hopeful for me was hearing how they answered, and that reminded me of how in the first year of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, I was feeling a little overwhelmed, and so I was reaching out to my colleagues, my friends who were more mature, who had more experience on TV and film, who had more experience in starring in TV shows, movies, and dealing with press, interviewed. And one of the questions I asked was, how do I deal with questions that make me feel uncomfortable or that could be inappropriate? And he said, you just have to remember that whoever's asking the question has power. And questions can always be answered with more questions. And also, it takes a lot of compassion and vulnerability to be in this position. That's something I did not know.
Mm-hmm.
So for those actors out there who want the TV show, the number one on the call sheet, principal on Broadway, um, reoccurring, what have you, or in your own field of business, you want to be an executive or you want to rise up through the ranks. Um, Man, it's going to take courage. However, you cannot have courage without vulnerability. It's Brene Brown. It's her words, how she phrases it. She did the studies. She asked people in the military, do I get to have courage without vulnerability? They went, absolutely not. When our lives are on the line and I'm looking left to my right, my fellow, we're in a war or we're in an obstacle or we're on the field, like I will die if they don't take care of me, and they'll die if I don't take care of them. So I have to have courage for myself and for them. They have to me. So I kind of look at it like that. It takes a lot of courage because you have to really be willing to present who you are, say your piece, and even if you're not saying your piece, you have to take the responsibility of what it means to say what you're saying. And with the more interviews I do, I'm still stretching myself, trying to find more comfort in just trusting who I am and the work that I've done. And I feel the most confident in that. Why? Because I spend time every day, every morning, journaling about my life, paying attention to my life and my habits, what I do, and how they don't serve me or how they do serve me. And then sharing some of that with my husband so that we can be on board with the same things, because my success is his success. And I can't do what I do if I don't have support. So every morning, part of who I'm grateful for it's a long list. But my tribe, I have a tribe of people, and I think of them as a belt. So I think of them across like a belt that you wear around your waist, keep your pants up, yeah. So no one wants to be walking through life pantsless, unless that's true. No judge. But in my in my tribe, this belt that holds up my pants, the tribe is my family, friend, my representative, my because there's a lot of management, A3 artists, Atlas voiceover, business manager, my attorney, my publicist. They're working when I'm asleep, or they've written emails or sent text when I'm not thinking of work at all, or when I'm doing. There was one time I did like I think I came from an audition, got home, and did a self-tape. I just came from a studio, did an audition, came home, got this ring light, which your eyes are ring lighted.
Pretty cool.
And this is makeup. It's called MAC. It's called press powder, and I use the brush. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard work. And I used to, when I was doing this in the first, in the beginning, Eric, it was scary. I was like, I can't. I've never done this before. This is really hard. I'm stressed out. Anxiety. Then I realized. Then I told myself, well, if I keep doing this, and this is what Hollywood is like, or this is the way it is out here. This is no different than New York, where I had to figure that out. Or when I was at PCPA, how do I go to school 6 days a week, only have one day off, and be in school from 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. and have time to do homework, sleep, eat, communicate with my family? Like, how do you do that? I didn't know how. I took years at PCPA to figure that out. And then I took that knowledge and I applied it to being on the national tour of 42nd Street. Then I took what I learned from there and PCPA, and I took it in with me to New York and surviving.
Vince, I just have to tell you, because I don't want it to cut us off.
My gosh!
It's going to cut us off in 1 minute.
We got 5.
And
no, you guys were here at 4:30. I was late.
No, it's totally fine. I just didn't want it in the middle of such a beautiful words. I didn't want the thing to cut us off without me getting a chance to just say thank you so much, because it's your words. I'm glad that I recorded this and can go back and take some notes. It only lasts for 24 hours, unfortunately, on Instagram Live, but it'll be it'll be up there on the story for 24 hours, and I'm going to be taking some notes to share with the students. You are an inspiration, and I always feel when I leave my time with you, I always feel like I'm a better person. Vince, you've been an inspiration to us, and we couldn't be more proud of you, and the fact that we got to be part of your journey is we're just thrilled about. Thanks so much for spending the time with us. I'm going to be trying to lure you back in to talk with us more, because we just I sent you like 30 questions and I think I asked 3. So this is exciting stuff, man. All of you for tuning in, thank you so much. Check us out. Keep an eye on the social media, because we'll be getting some new information out to you about how these interviews are going to proceed. I hope you're all staying safe and sane, and I can't wait until we are all in the room together again. Thanks so much, Vince.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Eric.
All right. It's been a pleasure. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, PCPA. Bye, folks. Thanks for joining us.